Hey folks, I hope that wherever this message finds you, that you are well and doing whatever you can to maintain your sanity in these very confusing times. I haven't had much to say recently, and that's mostly because I haven't wanted to add to the shrieking crowd of voices all vying for your attention unless I had something to say that was actually worth your time. But seeing that it's been quite a few days since my last check-in, I thought I'd just share some thoughts that I've had. After roughly 5 weeks of total and complete lockdown, South Africa is finally beginning to return to some semblance of normality, although we are still living under tightly restricted conditions. This country's economy was already in a downward spiral before we had ever heard of the coronavirus, and all that the lockdown did was to seal that particular deal. In my opinion, it didn't change much about the way that South Africa fundamentally operates, as much as it simply revealed what was already here to a larger extent. Almost immediately after the lockdown protocols gave our politicians the power to essentially enforce martial law, they began to blatantly abuse their positions of authority for their own gain and the gain of those close to them. Unnecessary and, might I add, unlawful arrests have been common over the last few weeks, and they're still going on as I speak. Much of the chaos and confusion that's happening right now is the fault of our leaders themselves, because we're in a situation where one minister will say that an activity is allowed, and then another will come up and directly contradict what the First Minister said. So ordinary South Africans don't really know what we can safely do without facing the wrath of an unjust legal system. Quite honestly, the future is a daunting prospect because we already had a large welfare state before any of this happened, and our tax base is shrinking by the year as those with the means and opportunity to do so leave South Africa for more stable regions. When I look at my own life, I honestly have no idea what the coming months and years will hold. And I've become firmly convinced by all this that life is fundamentally absurd. If we were indeed created by a divine being with some sort of plan for our lives, I've decided that as an individual human, I simply don't have the capacity to fathom what that plan might be. So I've decided that the best I can do is to try to be a positive force within my sphere of influence and to work on improving the things in my life that I can exercise some degree of control over. That's why lately I've decided just to focus on physical fitness and digital artwork, because in both of those pastimes or hobbies, I guess you could call them, there's a sense of order and routine. When I create a painting, I know that if I follow the rules correctly, I can achieve the desired effect. There's not this sense of unrelenting chaos that you feel when you look into the outside world. And even saying that, I do understand that things are not as chaotic as we are led to believe. The media in particular is culpable in feeding this sense of fear and paranoia that people are under, because that is what they thrive on and what they have thrived on for years. So I suppose that in summary, my advice to you is fairly simple. Find productive ways to occupy your time. Don't obsess over things you can't control, particularly not the people who are in charge of your government, because the fact is that they don't care about average people and they never will, so you'd be wasting your time to get upset over it. I think that the only thing we can do is to try to make our own individual lives, and by extension the lives of those around us, better by the behavior we choose to participate in. For now, farewell.